Welcome to Stop Dieting and Start Living podcast. I am your coach, Natalia Rodriguez, and I will be guiding you to get in the best shape of your life for the rest of your life by combining my coaching experience with the psychology behind the human eating behaviors and some simple brain science. Get ready to be coached by me. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another great episode. Today, I want to talk about self-sabotage. This topic was proposed by a listener, and it was on my list. This is a top issue when people know what they should be doing, but it feels hard to do it. So this is a way of self-sabotage. So what is exactly self-sabotage? The term self-sabotage is used when you use a destructive behavior directed at yourself. It's when you actively or passively take steps to prevent yourself from reaching your goals. This behavior can affect nearly every aspect of your life, in a relationship, in your career goals, or a personal goal such as losing weight, the most common one. With thoughts like, I can't do this, it is not the right time, I will never make it, I don't have the talent, I am not good enough, I don't feel like it. At first, you may not even notice that you're doing it, and these excuses may seem real to you. But when negative habits consistently undermine your efforts, they can be considered a form of psychological self-harm. One of the key reasons people self-sabotage is the lack of self-esteem. This can have many causes, but the effects are the same. Feelings of worthlessness, the belief that you don't deserve success, and even self-hatred. Some people self-sabotage because it makes them feel in control of the situations. That is why diets exist. They tend to give that sense of control that at the end is unsustainable. Self-sabotage erodes your self-confidence and self-esteem and affects your relationship with others. With every failed attempt to do the thing you want, you prove to yourself that you cannot do it or you should not do it. And this impacts your mood, your behaviors, your actions, and therefore your results. What causes self-sabotaging behavior? There are many reasons for self-sabotage, but three of the most important ones involve your thinking patterns, fears you may have in intimate relationships, and the tendency to avoid things that are difficult or uncomfortable. So facing your emotions, this is my story, for example. For me, it was easier to overeat, thinking that was comforting, instead of confronting my fears or emotions that seemed harder or impossible, because nobody told me that feeling emotions is totally okay and they don't harm me. But I was scared of that. So for me, it was better to eat. And when I was gaining weight, my way to control this was dieting. Because this came from a place of hate, because I was hating my body, and I tried to control it with dieting, I became part of the cycle of body obsession and dieting constantly and never being good enough. So I didn't work on the root causes of my problem. That was my self-esteem. But so how you can identify yourself those sabotaging behaviors? This is tricky and it takes some time. Many people do this very automatically. They self-sabotage themselves without even noticing. But some of the behaviors or thoughts and patterns are basically the ones when you feel you are holding you back and preventing you from doing what you want to do. Like we all know we should be eating more veggies, working out more often, or doing a task at work that we know is very important, but we just wait until the last minute or when it becomes maybe a life or threat situation. Self-sabotage is any action that gets in the way of your intent. So for example, losing weight, right after you lose 1 pound, you start overeating again. Need to reach a deadline for an assignment? You will focus much better if you finish the next episode in Netflix. Thinking about breaking up with your partner? You will get right into it after you arrange the living room, or things are going too well? Let's find a way to screw this up. There are countless ways we sabotage ourselves, but procrastination, self-medication with drugs or alcohol, overeating from stress, and interpersonal conflict are among the most widely used and recognizable. These actions can be especially dangerous because they are so subtle that you may not notice that extra cookie you're taking or the additional drink, and at the time, they may even appear to calm you down and relax you. But as these actions increase, self-sabotage builds up and can create a deep wall of self-defeat that's hard to climb out of. So opening yourself up is super important. One of the hallmarks of self-sabotage or fear of intimacy is the inability to talk about your feelings and problems. This was happening to me. You avoid talking about these things because talking means feeling. And you want to avoid feeling these things at all costs. So if you have no one to talk about it, write, journal. That's a great tool. How we can stop self-sabotaging? I condense this in 5 steps, and this is something that has helped me and my clients and many others. So first, understand self-sabotage. What is it? Knowing what it is. So if you're hearing this is a great step. Many of us are engaged in self-destructive behaviors that have become habits. So bringing awareness and recognizing your actions and thoughts, it's crucial. Like if you're in denial, well, you cannot change if you don't think you have a problem, right? So when you acknowledge you may have some attitudes that may are not so helpful to you, that's the first great step. Start with the ones you have this feeling, your hunch in your heart that may be a self-sabotage, and that will be a good start. So there comes the second step. This one may take some time, but try to notice your current habits. Write them down and evaluate if that habit that you have is helpful or not. So like snoozing the button when you wake up, like start from the morning. What is your first thought when you open your eyes? Those are habits. So for example, if you have a coffee every morning and you ever feel desperate or grumpy when you don't have one, ask yourself, do you really want this coffee? Is it really necessary? Because think about this, after 8 hours sleeping, why you need that coffee for? Sleeping should be the way we recharge our batteries and we get energy back. So you should feel rested after sleeping. That is the idea. So if it's not the case, I invite you to evaluate your sleeping patterns. Why are you not feeling rested after? And don't get me wrong, I have coffee almost every day, but it's because I chose to have it. So it is not a habit, and that makes me in control of my actions. And I feel okay when I cannot have it. If I want a coffee and there's no coffee left, I won't stress about it. We have many little habits that we can start having more conscious about, and we can decide if we want to do them or not. The good news is you always have a choice. Remember that. Another example that I see in many of my clients is eating something sweet after lunch. They all commented that they need that sweet thing after lunch. They say that this is because they have a sweet tooth, and that thought is taking the power away to make the right decision for them. And even if they are full, it becomes like a need, like an urge. So they have what they call no willpower to not eat something sweet after lunch. That is why in my programs, I make my clients to include these foods in their meals, in their plates. So when you finish their food, they are already satisfied, because we are used, and it's a habit, to have boring meals. And we don't know this. We believe, oh no, those are healthy meals. Yeah, but you can make them fun. And that's why you're reaching for the chocolate after lunch. And if you already ate your meal that you're full, then you eat that sweet thing after, then you're overeating, and then you find out after a couple of months that you gain some weight. So you see, it's so subtle that comes from bad behaviors, most of them. Another example is perfectionism. You tell yourself you can't take action until the time is right. Have you ever heard yourself saying that? Oh no, this is not the right time. I don't have time for losing weight right now. No, it's not a good time. Or you believe you need to perfect your skills before you move forward. Like, oh no, I will lose the weight first and then I will start eating intuitively. These are forms of self-sabotage. Perfection is an impossible standard that keeps you from moving forward. After recognizing your habits, I know it will take some time. For me, it took me a couple of weeks to actually do the task. I was self-sabotaging myself by procrastinating. After you recognize your habits and your self-destructive actions, It is time to try to identify the root causes of them. That means the thoughts that came before the action. Remember, for every action you take, it exists a feeling or a thought before. The action doesn't happen automatically. I mean, it does, but it comes from something already ingrained in your brain. So at the beginning, you can start with the actions that make you feel perhaps not so good about yourself. For example, if you have a coffee every morning, you may have some beliefs behind that habit that make you do it over and over again. At the beginning, you may think, what? I don't think anything, I drink because I like it. But then I invite you to think again. What happens if you run out of coffee? Will you go running to the store to buy more? Will you easily choose to have a tea instead? Will you feel grumpy all day and you will blame your coffee for it? Eventually, with some retro-inspection, in a few days you will start noticing what thoughts and beliefs you have around drinking that cup of coffee every morning. Like, it makes you feel happy, you like the smell, you feel that makes your start of your day good. But so what you bring up the real reasons why you have it, and then you can evaluate if they are good enough for you. Take some time for this self-reflection. It doesn't happen overnight, especially if you live in an automatic pilot most of your day. I invite you to slow down a little bit, and when you catch yourself feeling guilty, shame, disappointment about something, put those feelings a bit under perspective. Think, what did you do or thought to feel that way? What was it? What triggered you? And eventually you will see that it becomes easier to recognize the patterns and habits that you are not being helpful to. Then it comes the fourth step. After you have some awareness and recognition, the way you can start pivoting those self-sabotaging behavior that is not willpower or strength or talent, nothing to do about that. It is more simple than that and more doable. It is to find and reinforce your inner positive voice. Fear is often at the root of what holds us back. We fear that our inner critical voice is right. We start to worry that we'll never lose weight, or that we are not tough enough, or simply we don't have that in us. So it is time to put aside those harsh inner voices, the I can't or I'm a failure. That negative internal dialogue, it is a pattern of self-limiting thought. So start replacing that inner critical inner voice with positive and encouraging thoughts. Yes, rephrase those negative thoughts or those ideas or those beliefs that are causing you to take the action that is not being helpful for you. So if you restrain yourself to work out, for example, because you are telling yourself that you are too tired, or that you had a bad day, or because it's not the right moment, or because you are too stressed, all those little lies are part of the self-sabotaging path, and that we tend to invent out of fear, or because we want to stay in the comfort zone that is actually not helpful to you. At that moment, when you think such things, it is actually the best time and opportunity to change them. And for each of those objections, start to tell yourself the real story. Like, you schedule a workout today and you tell yourself you won't do it because you don't feel like it. You're too tired. But so right after you thought that, ask yourself, is that helpful to me? Is that decision taking me closer to what I want? Then consider the options. Perhaps, yes, you are too tired. So cut the session to half, and instead of doing something too intense, do some stretching. Or if you had a bad day, maybe think that working out will cheer you up. Or if you have too much stress, think that working out will release some of that tension. And so your mood and feelings towards the decision will smoothen the situation, and eventually it will start making you feel you want to take the right action. Like, hey, it's not such a bad idea. I'm not that tired. I'm not that busy. I can take 15 minutes. This work needs some time and dedication. A lot of self-compassion and kindness towards yourself to identify and call out all your bullshit and replace it with positive reinforcement. By reframing those negative thoughts, you will get your power back. And if at the end you really feel you don't want to work out, for example, well, you embrace that decision facing the consequences. but it makes it a conscious decision, avoiding the feelings of guilt or disappointment with yourself, avoiding you to stop to work out for weeks or even never consider start again. When you make conscious decisions, you're acting with more awareness. And most probably, you will be able to reschedule for another day your workout and move on with your life without resentment, without feeling bullying to yourself. That if you haven't noticed, that bullying part is not helpful at all. Like, oh yes, I'm always doing the same thing. I never keep the promises to myself. And only make you feel worse and avoid you to live in peace. At the end, that is the point here. Find some peace within you and have a smoother ride in this life. Life is not hard. We make it hard. You yourself alone make it difficult by believing things that make you feel bad. And so this is the way to change all of that. Now it comes the fifth step. That actually for you to know, after you start with some awareness and rephrasing the thoughts, this part actually will come naturally. And this step is actually to start making small positive changes. So forcing yourself to do small changes is meaningful and very, very important. So you will find yourself in a place where you feel 50-50 chances to do what you want. But so taking a small action is better than no action at all. That way you will start proving yourself that you can do it. Like instead of planning a workout for 2 hours, 5 days a week, start with 15 minutes 3 times a week. Make it easy for you. Once you master that, you will increase the bar and slowly you will also build the helpful habits that will help you to get where you want to be. So remember, it's aim 1% every day. So in 10 years, you can look back and have a full checklist of things that you always wanted to do and you actually did. After that, you will be also ready to make plans and goals without fearing them. You will be conscious and you will be able to know what it takes. And you will break them down into doable things that you feel confident doing, as long as it's important for you. So remember, you may have to practice telling yourself positive stuff that may feel a little bit weird at the beginning. Maybe even a lie to yourself first. But then with some practice, they start kicking in and you will start believing the correct things that actually make you feel good. But this takes time and slowly you will find that it will become easier to do what it feels right and act in accordance to what you want. That is the end goal. Stop thinking that you need to be tough or have a lot of willpower or even talent or discipline to do what is helpful to you. Nothing of that is necessary if you believe the right beliefs and you take control over your life. Just give it a chance. So something else that I wanted to add, and it's important for you to know about this process, is that there is 4 stages of changing. So I will make a post on Instagram this week so you get the picture, how you can be resilient with the process. Because, for example, if you have been cleaning your plate and overeating for the last 30 years and you believe this is comforting for you, don't expect doing it right away. Like, okay, I decided not to do it because I'm conscious of my decision. No, it will take you some time to believe that overeating actually feels uncomfortable. But you need to feel it. If it doesn't make you feel good, you will realize it with some steps. That's why I tell my clients, sit at the table, plate your food, eat without distractions, because then they will start paying attention and creating this awareness that make you realize that actually overeating doesn't make you feel good and that actually feeling lighter is cooler than feeling heavier. It's not comforting anymore. And so you sometimes will nail it. Like sometimes it will be easy for you to walk away from food and sometimes you will screw it up and that's okay. It is part of the changing process. Remember, Rome wasn't built in one day, so you have to practice and practice. It can take you up to 21 days or a year. It's depending of the level of the habit you have already. But take it easy and don't expect 100% change right away. Aim to practice and the idea is that you get to be more consistent by doing what it feels right. This will serve you not only to get fitter, but with any other goal in your life. That's it, guys. How to train your brain to actually do the things you want to do effortlessly. If you give it a try or have any doubts, feel free to reach out. I believe in you. thank you for listening, and I hope you liked this episode. And if you did, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That will support my cause, that is to impact as many of you to stop dieting and start living. For more information, you can find the link in the episode notes. I am also very active on Instagram, where you will find tons of information. Have a great one. Lots of love. Your coach, Na.